Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FB4 Daily. It is Thursday. Happy Halloween to you all. Tonight's show is brought to you, of course, by Paddy Power. Paddy Power is a bookies, a website and an app. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly and try to do so with Paddy Power. Tonight we are going to have a little talk about the League Cup quarter-final draw. We're going to talk about, we'll go look back on last night's game because my guest tonight was there, and we're going to just talk about Jurgen Klopps telling the EFL and the League Cup to basically go away if you think we're going to be bullied with regards to fixtures. Anything else that comes in during the night on the live chat, absolutely, look, we'll take it, we'll run with it, and we'll go there. We had issues over Israel and Palestine last night, which was quite a surprise, but you never know what might come up tonight as well. My guest tonight is a good friend. It's Chris Brack. Chris, my man, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. You were at the game last night.
I was.
And how did you get on?
It was great. It was my daughter's first ever game at Anfield, so probably couldn't have picked a better game for her to go to.
It was a cracker to go to. First ever game at Anfield. You couldn't. It's literally bar like, you know, Barcelona or one of these massive European nights. It was an absolute cracker to go to, wasn't it?
Yeah, 19 goals. It's great.
It was absolutely insane. When you seen the lineup and you seen Arsenal's lineup, did you think, oh, we're going to this game and they're going in a bit heavy, and we aren't? Did you have that kind of feeling?
I kind of had that feeling of when I saw their bench was, if we're going to win this, we need to be a 2 or 3 up before they bring on the big guns. Yeah. It didn't work out that way because some of the big guns he left on the bench. But I do think it shows more of where we are and where they are. We were almost jokingly aside. It looks like, I think if we'd have got knocked out, I don't think Klopp would have cared particularly much. Whereas you could tell for them, they had a backup plan of, we need to save face here. We need to try and get through. And if it means throwing Lacazette and Pepe on, then we do it. Yeah,
do you know, it was one of those where I said it last night on the post-match show where they looked to be trying to strengthen their side as they went along. Because I think Unai Emery may have seen, you know, this comeback coming, and I think he's clinging on to his job. Cop 80 is in and he says, good evening. North Red says, how are all the Reds? We're all in good form. Cooler King 70 says, Timo Werner rumours, any truth in them? I'll get back to them later on, I promise. North Red says, I'm not going to course, so he says, forget about the Carabao Cup, it's useless. No disrespect to the kids that toiled last night, but no use. E.g. Kate, they're now injured. Apparently Kate is in contention for the weekend, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Stephen says they fielded a younger side than ours. Yeah, they did, but I just saying, as the game went on, they were bringing on, you know, what you could consider first team players, the likes of Kieran Tierney, Guendouzi, players like that. Northred said he'd take Werner in a heartbeat. We will get onto that later. I promise. I was actually talking to Grizz about it in the last day or two, and he reckons there might be something in it. But look, a brilliant experience for you going to the game. But an even better one for your daughter. She must have come out with that and thought, Jesus, this is what happens all the time. You know, we've set a really high bar there.
We have, yeah. I mean, she's developed my level of sarcasm because it was like 4-2 to Arsenal at the time. So she's looking a bit down. I said, look, it's still good though, isn't it? You've seen lots of goals and all got deadpan ones. Yeah, but they're all Arsenal goals, aren't they? So, it's really deadpan. But then obviously Origi does what Origi does, and she was she's just wanted to orbit then, you know, jumping up and down, and because she's been a lot of the women's games. So
yeah,
I think the thing that caught her out. I think I put a video on social media of it. It was the sheer size of the ground. I think because I don't go to the games regularly, but I try to get to 2, 5, and 10 a year.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to it. Going, go to Anfield. It's it's cool. It's a good trip. You forget to someone who's that young is like, this is massive. This is huge. It's dead loud. I mean, the Arsenal away fans probably helped with the atmosphere because the first two away fans, they were loud.
Yeah.
You know, and to us, it was quite a lot of backing in tune between us and them. But in the way it should be. Nothing, no nastiness or anything like that. None of the silly anti-Liverpool sign-on crap that normally gets sung by away fans. It was just both sides cheering the teams on. So, atmosphere-wise, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked very good, and like for your daughter to go there, like and see like 10 goals in normal time, and then a penalty shooter where she has to wait and watch all these go and stuff like that. Brilliant experience, absolutely brilliant. What do you make of Klopp's comments? And when I say that, I mean afterwards he basically said, look, the fixture list is wrong. He basically turned around and said, look, we were successful last season. The Premier League, the the Football League, they all know what's coming when a team wins a European Cup. What they're what they have to do after that, i.e. Club World Cup. But he basically turned around and said, no, we won't be victims here. What will happen is you will find a date for us, and if you don't find the date, let Arsenal go through, or whoever we're drawn against gets a bye. What did you make of that? Because, and the reason I'm saying that is because Pele Jones says there, loves Klopp saying if you can't find a decent date, we're out. And he also says good evening to you.
Cool. I liked it. I think it also shows how comfortable he is as Liverpool manager, because if we're in this similar position to the previous managers, Rodgers and some of the others of the past, I don't think they'd have got away with saying that. I think they would have been called for all sorts. But I think he's done the right thing. I think he's called out the authorities on this fixture list is crap, and you could have seen this as soon as Liverpool won the European Cup. Well, they were going to play the World Club Championships, which is in December, and everyone knew that 6 months ago. So if they got to could Liverpool get to a quarter final? Possibly. So what do we do if that happens? I don't know, and that's the problem. It's just like, and I think Klopp was right. I think he was hoping Liverpool get knocked out, and they go, well, we don't have to talk about it. I know a lot of Real fans will just say, it's excuse making and things like that, but in fairness to Guardiola, had a very similar gripe last year, where they were, going so far in tournaments, and it was just getting, you got to play 3 games a week or 4 games in 10 days. They don't really think about it, but they're quite happy to help it out. The issue we've got is it's a little bit like you do a deal with the devil. If you do a deal with these big TV companies who rule the roost on what we do, you've got to suck up a little bit when the fixture list looks a bit crap, because they decide ultimately what gets shown. Yeah. Hence why we had 2 live games on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, but he makes a very good point, and he's very cute in what he does. Just a couple of comments before I go on here. Stephen says he loved Fabinho's Instagram post celebrating Origi's pen from the stands. Curtis Jones, I think it was, his pen where he says, go on, Curtis, lad. That just shows like lads in the stand, and they're absolutely up for it. North Red says Klopp laughed the whole night away. He was hilarious. He really, really enjoyed it. He genuinely looked like do you know what he looked like, Chris? I watched the interviews after the game, and after I'd done the podcast last night, he basically looked like a guy that just happened to be standing on the sideline, but was literally a guy that walked into a football ground and went, "Oh, this is good." It was like, oh, this is really enjoyable. But he happened to be manager of Liverpool at the time as well. Stephen also says, I think we should combine the Carabao quarter-final with the Premier League game this weekend. Pens afterwards if needed. I don't think that's going to happen. But he makes a very cute point, and what he does say is, look, he basically shows them, look, you have to be ready for every permutation when it comes to fixtures. Yes, if Liverpool get that far, they need to be able to say, look, if Liverpool get that far, they're off in wherever they're playing this Club World Cup. We're going to have to do something here. But he makes a very important point where he says it will not happen during this winter break that we fought so hard to get in this country. We will not be on a week off, be playing competitive games. And it's quite obvious, Chris, that he's had this discussion with, the hierarchy of the club and said, listen, this is where we need to stand. This needs to be our standpoint. And if I'm asked about it after the game, should we win, this is what I'm going to say. And he completely must have the absolute backing of the club on this.
I think he does. It wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool have been talking to the powers that be for months saying, look, this is going to be a problem if it happens. You've got a plan for this, haven't you? And they're probably getting brushed off by it. I mean, I had a very brief look at the fixtures. I mean, the logical time to play this game is probably the first week in Jan after the FA Cup tie, which is when the semi-finals are supposed to be. But I've never understood why for the League Cup, the semi-finals 2 legs. Apart from European competitions, most semi-finals are 1 game. So I don't know why for years they haven't just decided to just remove the 2-legged affair and just go back to the neutral ground thing.
Yeah.
which we used to do for years. Which to us, it's a day out. That's not Wembley, but it still makes it feel a bit special because you've got it's a winner takes all, situation.
The problem, the reason that is, and I think it might be, is because if you do get a lower league team, i.e. a Colchester or an Oxford, that make a semi-final, instead of having a one-off game in a neutral ground where they would get half the gate, they would have a game at home which they would get TV money for, and half the gate, or they'd have to get the majority of the gate. Then they would get a second TV game away, and if it was at, for argument's sake, Old Trafford, 75,000, they would get a massive payout. That's probably the reason the league do that, because it's the Football League Cup, you remember.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But I mean, I know Brewster did it last year when they got walloped by City. But it's pretty rare a side outside of a championship gets to the semi-finals. It is pretty rare. So again, they're happy to plan a two-legged fair or just in case a lower league side gets us, so we give them more money. But for a fixture list where they can see where it's going to hinder other clubs, they don't think about that.
Yeah, it's just, I think he's right to stand up for us. And the Telegraph are reporting tonight that Liverpool are considering playing two separate teams in two separate competitions at the same time in December. I can't see that happening, especially after his comments last night. It will be a massive climb down from Klopp if that had to happen.
I think if he does it, I don't think he would. The EFL are going to have to accept then that he will literally take the under-23 squad.
Yeah.
And go, there you go.
Yeah.
And then you devalue, and then you'll be accused of devaluing the competition. You're going, well,
it's all the players I have left.
It's all the players I've got left, because I'll be honest, the first twos that started last night, Gomez, Keita, Chamberlain, Lallana, Origi. Yes, they're probably not going to start the World Club Championships, but you'd want all five of them. Oh, Milner, sorry. You'd want all six of them in the bench as an option.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to go to a final without them on the bench, because they're your game-changing bench options. So already you are looking at under 23 side then.
Yeah.
And then it just looks it'll look tedious then.
Well, Maverick there says, with the fixture, surely it highlights the fact we are short on quality backup players. I'm just, he's just saying what other people may be thinking. I don't agree with that, Maverick, because do you really want, if that's the case, right, we would have to have, let's be honest, 34 top draw players on our books to go and say, well, we'll send 17 of them off to wherever they're playing this club. I couldn't even tell you where they're playing it. Is it
Qatar?
They're going off to play it there, and then we have another 17 players to go and play a League Cup game, and then they'll all come back together the following week, and we've 34 players and we've 17 spots or 18 spots on a match day squad. I don't know whether Maverick's winding me up here, but I gotta answer him anyway.
I think the squad depth things, I do think some of it's a little bit of a myth. It's because of what City have, people assume everyone has to have that, and it's not realistic to have that level. But even City, with all the billions and billions they've spent on that squad, they're never going to
turn around and go, oh yeah, well, we have a brilliant squad. We're going to stick 18 of them over to Qatar and 18 of them to play whoever they got, Oxford. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they couldn't. But if you look at City's squad, say if City said we're going to send 17 over to Qatar and they're going to do 17 here, who the hell are they going to play in defence? Because they haven't got a deep enough defensive squad depth.
Yeah.
So they didn't play in the 23s in defence. So again, even City, would have more options than us, wouldn't be able to do this.
No.
So it feels like a non-story to me.
And the way it is, you can't ask a Premier League football club to play two fixtures at the same time. It doesn't matter. It'd be like us saying, right, say for argument's sake, Liverpool had a couple of games postponed because of weather, right? Just for argument's sake, for weather over the Christmas, right? And then it turns around and they're still in the League Cup, they're still in the FA Cup, they're in the Champions League, they're going for the league, and they go, we've no dates left, lads. You're going to have to play a league game against, I don't know, Brighton on Saturday, but you'll also have to play, Sheffield United on the same day because we've no other slots. It never happened. You know what I mean?
No, it wasn't. The closest we've had to that was, I think it's the first year we had Manny, where I think we basically beat City, and then less than 48 hours later we had to travel to Sunderland. That's probably the closest we got, and even that was a stretch.
Yeah, it's just a mad one. Like somebody else said there, I'm sorry, it's gone off the screen, but I remember the comment. But they say it looks like Klopp has pitched FIFA against the Premier League and Football League. I don't think he has. I think what he's done there is he's actually piled FIFA and the Premier League onto the Football League, because he says last night, when we won the Champions League, the Premier League told us we would need to go away to Qatar for this FIFA thing, FIFA World Club Cup. So basically, the Premier League are telling you to go and do what FIFA want. So that's them two in the same boat. Now you have the Football League. So, but Stephen makes Dixon87 makes a really good point. Scrap the derby on the Wednesday in December and play it then. That's a fair point, because it's a league game that you're not, and you can move it back to later on in the season. And it's not like a cup competition that's time dependent to finish in February.
Plus, then you won't ruin the Blues' Christmas for once.
Yeah, well, that's the only downside, isn't it? That's the only downside. Northred says, why don't we do what Scotland do and settle their equivalent cup before Christmas? It just means a massively early start for a lot of clubs, Northred. And the thing is, you would still end up with the same problem, because you're trying
I think it's Scotland. They play the cup games for the league starts.
Yeah, they start literally in, I'm nearly sure it's mid-July. And it's done, but I think the semi-finals are this weekend, if I'm not wrong. So what you're looking at, you're probably looking at by the end of November. But if you were trying to fit that in, and league games, and then of course the World Club Cup is throwing everything off, but at the same time the Premier League are asking us to go and do that, so it's just one of those things. Maverick says, I'm not being harsh, I'm just saying there's no replacement at an acceptable drop to adequately replace any of them. I still agree that the fixture is a shambles. Yeah, it is, but at the end of the day, Maverick, Liverpool are fulfilling everything they can, but what they're saying is you can't ask us to play at the same time. That's just one of those. Just on the draw itself, we get away from that. The draw itself, it was as predictable as it possibly could be. First of all, I thought we had to. I thought this morning that we'd have to answer a set of clues to find out where the fucking draw was on for a start, and then it turned out it was on BBC Two, with Zoe Ball, I think it was, or BBC Radio 2. Excuse me, but it was so predictable. Like when Oxford come out, and then it's City, and then it's United. Oh, they get Colchester, and I was like, here we go again. But other than that, what did you make of it? Villa away, not the worst draw in the world, is it?
No, I would have liked a home draw, just because you always want a home draw in the cups. But otherwise, when you get to sort of stage of the cups, you get who you get. I was pretty convinced City would get like the dog and duck again, because they always do. Yeah,
I seen a great tweet earlier that said, if Man City make it to the Champions League, if Man City make it to the League Cup final, they'd be playing Bury. And then I seen something saying, and if they manage to get to the Champions League final, they'd be playing Karabakh. That's just the way it goes. It's just outrageous. It's like you could literally, everyone was saying it. Everyone was saying it. What way the draw would go. But I would have liked a home draw, but all this controversy around it, there's going to be a big build-up to it now, regardless of when it happens. But Villa away is not a bad draw. If you look at the other side of it, you have United, Colchester. So you're probably looking at United and City through. Liverpool or Villa, and then I think it's
Leicester, Everton.
Leicester. So you're probably it looks like a really good semi-final lineup, regardless. But do you know something? I have a feeling, regardless of where this game happens, I'm going to call it now. I think he goes with a really young side again.
I think he pretty much go. I think if he got Everton or one of the two Manchester clubs, I think he probably would have had to go stronger, just because of the rivalry and who they are. Because it's Villa, and there's less of a rivalry with Villa. I think you could almost pretty much say the side that played last night is probably the side that starts. He may possibly go. He may decide to go, maybe if injuries permit, and maybe go for like a Lovren instead of Vanderberg, just for a little bit of extra experience in the spine of the side. But otherwise, I don't think he'll change it that much.
Like Maverick says, do we go stronger for Villa? He thinks so. He would like Fabinho in midfield. I'm presuming you're talking about the cup here. It all depends where the fixture ends up being placed. It could come to could come to fruition where, as Chris says, they play it early January and they're literally going to drop it in on top of a possible semi-final. And then when you're doing that, you're dropping it in on leagues games FA Cup games, probably not Champions Leagues. They usually come back around February, I think, don't they? So it's going to be an awkward one, but like we've loads of fixtures coming in, and I love it. I think Liverpool in a rhythm here, and if they do all right injury wise, I think Liverpool could just get on a roll here, and I absolutely love it. But look, it's a decent draw. I think you're looking at City, you're looking at United going through. Everton Leicester's an interesting one. What do you reckon happens there?
Well, the stat I saw last night was apparently Rodgers has never won at Goodison Park.
Oh,
which I never knew. Mm-hmm. Apparently, even at Liverpool, he got draw. It was always a draw or a defeat. He never won at Goodison, so he's got to break a hoodoo for himself there. It might, sure. I think it'd be a good game because I think Everton at home is probably what they needed to get the crowd going. Well. Cup quarter final, and also Leicester are a perfect away side with their pace on the break. So I think it'll be. I can see that being quite a high scoring game, like a 3-2.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good.
Hopefully, it's a Leicester.
I think it'd be a good game as well. Connor Pastor just said Rocky. That's his only comment. Yeah, listen, Rocky 4 is on the back burner at the moment, but I will get to it, and I promise, Connor, as soon as I do, I will update you. Pele Jones says their last 15 opponents in domestic cups for City is a joke. It's absolutely madness. Kev O'Sullivan's, let me see. Sorry, Kev, I've just lost your comment. Stephen says, not Brewster, surely. The lad is underwhelming so far. No, I thought he grew into that game last night. I'm going to give him.
His movement off the ball was brilliant.
Yeah, and there's a man that was sitting in the ground. I thought he grew into the game. I thought the more upset and annoyed he got at the fact Liverpool were losing, really stood to him. Really stood to him.
The problem Brewster's got is the other person we see regularly play through the middle for Liverpool is Firmino, who's a bit of a freak the way he is, because no one plays like him. So That's the kind of level he's got to live up to, which is very, very difficult. He actually looked probably a little bit more effective when we put him out wide to use his pace and put Origi's physicality through the middle just for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just loved his attitude towards the end, snapping into tackles as a forward, and even that one where he out sprints the defender, he gets across him in front of the cop, he gets it back, he tries a shot, goes wide, but you could see that bit of pace about him. I like Brewster as he grew into it, but I still think he's a poacher, and I still think if we find a way to get him in the team, especially in games where we're winning and we're in control, I think he could notch a few this season. Stephen says City have a very hard few weeks coming up.
They do.
I've heard that. Stephen, if you want to give me, say, the next couple of fixtures over the next 6 weeks, I'd be very interested to see. Although I do watch what City do, I don't really watch their fixtures. I kind of watch on a Thursday. Who are they playing this weekend? Or are they home and away?
I think it's something daft like. I think after they play us, they've definitely got Chelsea away. I think they've got United. They've got Burnley away, and Sheffield Wednesday away. But they're both like midweek games.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Those two clubs are two clubs you don't want to play midweek in December, January. I was quite glad we got them out of the way.
Yeah, no, because I did see something the other day where I think we've played is it 4 of the top 6 so far plus Leicester from last season. Or we've played 5 of the top 6. I think we've only to play City. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the way the fixtures falls, I think City's run from now until about Jan is where they get a lot of the top 6 sides.
Yeah.
The thing is with City last year, the top 6 games weren't the issue. Yeah. They comfortably battered them aside. They actually dropped points against sides you wouldn't expect.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because I think the only team they've played so far is Spurs. Am I right?
Yeah. Which is because I think so far City they've dropped more points already from the same fixtures than they did last year. Because they dropped points to Spurs last year, they won. Losing to Norwich because they never got beat by a promoted side before, and losing to Wolves where last year they beat them. So they're already dropping more points than you would expect City to do. Yeah,
I'll promise to look up all these fixtures. I'll promise to look them all up in detail. Stephen does say they play all the top 6 starting with us, so that'll be interesting between now and Christmas. Northred asked, did you all enjoy Arsenal Fan TV?
Yes.
Did you see the Scouts kids winding them up? No, I didn't. I knocked it on for a few minutes. I got sidetracked last night, I'm going to be honest, but I did knock it on, and there was a live phone in coming on, or live chat or whatever it was. It was on YouTube, and they were literally calling for Guardiola or Brendan Rodgers, or not Guardiola. They were calling for Jose Mourinho or Brendan Rodgers, and I thought, oh, here we go, this is amazing.
The one good thing they did bring up, probably bring it back to the Xhaka situation, was what's the guy called? Is it Claude?
Claude,
one of the guys him and one of the Arsenal fans had it out a little bit over the treatment of Xhaka, where I think his argument was, look, you can't all give him crap and boo him and not expect him to react. He said he didn't react in the right way, but you can't. But the big thing he brought up was, and you've seen it now with the Xhaka, not apology, but statement he's brought as, people were sending death threats to his wife and his newborn daughter and all that. And thinking, that's where you're going. That's a society thing where people think that's all right because you're a footballer and you're rich and you didn't play well for my team. I can say what I want, and I think he was right to bring that up. Going, that's where it's gone too far. Yeah.
No, listen, he, as club captain, his reaction on the pitch, not great. But when it comes to death threats and sorts of stuff like that, and bringing people's wives and kids and stuff into it, like, you want to be an absolute fucking arsehole to do something like that. Let's be honest about it. And I'm not going to say you're not a football fan. You are a football fan because you're obviously watching football, but you're just an idiot, an absolute certified idiot. That's just the way it is.
I mean, to flick it the other way, look at Henderson and Lucas. Christ, Lucas got booed and hissed by our fan base.
Lucas got booed onto a pitch once.
Booed onto a pitch, booed off a pitch. Mm-hmm. Lucas in interviews used to joke that if somebody else did a throw-in and threw it out wrong, it'd be his fault even if he was on the pitch.
Yeah.
But he knew that. The difference is the two of them, somehow, probably mentality, and Henderson, because he gets a lot of stick as well, is they don't show it on the pitch. They kind of, they may trudge off, head down, and then they let it go. They don't let it get to them. Because to us, that's the only way you're going to turn fans your way, is you kind of have to accept as a part of football that you will get stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
About your footballing ability, not the other bit.
Yeah, exactly. And it was probably mixed in the ground. They were probably cheering the fact they were bringing on an attacking player. It just happened to be Xhaka coming off. I don't know. But listen, you've every right to your opinion. That's just the way life should be in general. But if you're going to be doing, as I said, involving people's families and stuff like that, forget it. It's your argument is null and void at that stage, regardless, even if you're right in the first place. Stephen Mack says 9 points clear at Christmas and games in hand, lads. I'd absolutely love it, man. I'd absolutely love it. And Northred has promised to send you a selection box if you're right. So there you go. Win-win.
If I say 12 points, can I have 2 selection boxes?
If you say 12, I'm sure Northred would sort you out with 2 selection boxes. Of your choice, you can pick Cadbury, you can pick Galaxy, Chocolate, Mars, whatever you want. Northred seems a nice guy. Pele Jones says, imagine Henderson doing that. No, Henderson's never doing that. And the best way Henderson answers these things is plays well, scores the odd goal, and just goes to the crowd and says, fuck you. And then everyone forgets it for a little while. But look, let me see. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, just the one thing on the Villa game. I'm going to go into the Villa game in a bit more detail tomorrow night with the guests that I have on. But the big talking point coming up to Chris is Fabinho. Do you play him? Do you not play him? Do you risk him? Do you not risk him? Where do you stand on this?
I don't. Personally, I wouldn't risk it because as good as he is, and look, he didn't get booked in the Tottenham game, but you've seen with officiating these days, or just general these days, it doesn't take much to get a yellow card these days. You can just look at someone the wrong way and you get a yellow card. So I don't know why he'd risk it. My only slight reservation is Klopp does seem to be very much a one game at a time, and he might go, well, I need him to win this game, and I'll worry about City next week. But I'd like to hope that we don't pick him. I would play Ronaldo in the holding role, for which we've seen him do before. He can do it, and then play Henderson and Chamberlain in midfield.
Do you know what?
That's what I would do.
I have confidence in whatever team we pick to go out and beat Villa. I think Villa have flattered to deceive a little bit. Flashes of them have been very good. Away at Arsenal, they looked very, very good for periods. They nearly got away with it at Spurs early on in the season and just got undone near the end. But there's been flashes. Didn't they go and beat Norwich 5-1? But if you look at Norwich's form over the last couple of weeks, it's probably not something to go on. Northred says, yeah, you can have 2 selection boxes, no problem, man.
Bargain.
Yeah, Chris, if it's 12 points, I'll be your butler for a month, says Stephen. So you're absolutely flying here, man. Turn up on a podcast, you end up with a butler and a load of chocolate. It's happy days.
Should have done this years ago.
I know, yeah. I noticed I'm not fucking getting that now. But
you don't get, mate.
No, exactly. I'll have to start asking for stuff. Dunno says, Dunno says, I thought Gav was great last night. He kept Grizz at bay. And the rest of the comment, I'm not too sure what that is, Dunno. But if you want to come back and let me know what that's about, I'm absolutely up for it. Christina says that she wouldn't play him. I don't think she'd play him because you can't trust the ref and stuff like that. That's where I sit on it. I have the confidence in us to go and win that game, whether Fabinho's there or not. I think the rest, I love Liverpool players in a rhythm. 1 game a week, 2 games a week. I love that. But Fabinho might be the one that's just probably needs that little break. But I'd be running them hard in training. I'd have him absolutely well up for the City game. I know where Christina's coming from. A ref could just play the situation rather than play the media hype rather than the game and go, oh, I'll give him a booking now and to be uproar over this for the week. So I'm going to side with you, Chris. I wouldn't play him simply because I think he's absolutely integral to what we're going to go and try to do against Manchester City. And I think he showed his value against them, especially at the Etihad last season when we were brutal. And then he came on and we were... He turned the game, and we probably should have come out with at least a draw. But that's just my opinion on it. Christina says Genie or Hendo in the 6 is worth the risk. It'd be Genie for me. I don't think Hendo should go back in there. I think he should stick at what he's doing. Kula King said he would pick Genie, Hendo, Keita against Villa. We'd have to see. Keita's in contention, but I wouldn't pick
Keita. Not that I'm fed up with him, but it's just, at the moment you can't trust him to stay fit.
I'd pick Milner.
The reason I won't pick Milner is, although we did well the other night, he did half get roasted by their winger a couple of times. And I'm just concerned, is it a legs question? Going up and down from that switch. I think
in this sort of game, the reason I go with Milner is that if you're going to go Wijnaldum there, although I think he's brilliant at the 6, I'd like to be absolutely solid and hard working in there, and trust our fullbacks and our front three to go and do the business, and then probably our centre halves if we can get them involved in set pieces and stuff like that. So Stephen Max says a bag of cans for Gav. That's if it's 9 or 12 points, or 12 points. If it's 12 points, Stephen Mack has given me a bag of cans. He said it's the good stuff as well, so that's fair enough. Dixon87 says the Mail are reporting Palace want Brewster on loan in January. What's your thoughts? Absolutely, under no circumstances do I want any of our players having anything to do with Roy Hodgson. I think that's case fucking closed.
I think a loan might do him good if we're bringing someone in.
Palace.
Not to Crystal Palace, no.
All right.
I'm trying to think it would be a good fit for him, because you'd want a Premier League loan where he's going to get game time.
I'll give you one.
Go on then.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
I genuinely think, I think you could do something in Newcastle.
Plus, still big crowd, live, so he gets used to that sort of atmosphere.
They like to play on the break. I think Newcastle would be decent for him. I really would.
The only thing with Newcastle is they barely touch the ball, so it's whether he'd spend a lot of his time just running channels.
Could be, but I think
that's not really his get. That's probably not going to play to his strengths.
But it's Premier League and it's a decent chance to get into a side. Yeah.
You would. Someone like a Bournemouth would have been good, but they've got too many strikers. Probably,
Norwich wouldn't be a bad show. They play decent football. They're in terrible form, but look, I can't see him. He may go alone. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maverick has Milner, Genie, Hendo. I'd agree with that for the weekend. Christina says you must reward Ox, but another start is a lot to ask on his body for his recovery. It's a fair point, and I think he's still not tactically up to speed with what we want to do. Having said that, if he plays Genie and he plays Henderson, you could nearly risk Oxlade-Chamberlain there, because I don't think the left hand side suffers as much as the right hand side with regards to having to cover.
The biggest thing about Chamberlain was, I read an article that was talking about how bad his knee injury was. They've actually said the biggest thing about his knee wasn't the knee, it was the tendon tear in his hamstring. Apparently he ripped his tendon, it rolled up his leg. So he had to regraft it. So he's had to learn how to basically run like a new knee, almost. Which why I was so pleased with his goal, because the power he hit that with, he was sort of going, well, that proves his knee is physically correct. Physically, he trusts it now. Because there's no way he could have got the power he got that if that knee hadn't repaired the way we thought it was. That was the biggest encouragement I could see.
Yeah.
I think what helps Chamberlain in the last couple of games is I don't think he's been fantastic in the last 2 games he's played. But when you score 3 goals in 2 games, it does gloss over a lot of tactical mishaps.
Yeah, no, it does, and I think tactically he's just getting back up to speed. Pele Jones says Oxon in the last 20 minutes, he'd be happy with that. Brighton will be a good show for Brewster, says Dixon. Nordred says Ox bench, great sub. Somebody else suggests, Kev O'Sullivan says he'd suggest Leeds. 5 months with Bielsa wouldn't do him any harm, and apparently the Leeds striker that's there won't be there come January, so let's see what happens. Stephen says, being honest lads here, I can't see us losing any game against any English team this season. If that happens, Stephen, I will send you selection boxes and cans. How does that sound? Listen, the last thing I'm going to go to, because a couple of people have asked at the start and in the middle of this podcast. Sorry, Dunno's asking, Gav, thoughts on Perry? Oz's old doll. I think she means Ox's old doll. She seems good laugh. I'm presuming is it Perry Edwards' her name? It's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's better half. Yeah, she seems good, and she's a beautiful looking woman as well. Let's be honest about it. Nordred,
I think she's very socially aware. I think she's fairly socially aware, like Chamberlain is.
Yeah.
I think she does get involved in lots of charity stuff like Chamberlain does as well. So I think she's she seems like a nice, genuine person, in fairness.
Yes, no, she does. She seems good crack, in fairness to her. Christina says Elliott looks like he has an outside chance of the bench if Salah is not fit, or with Keita or Shaqiri out. Yeah, that's fair enough. Maverick says no to Werner. Nordred says, Werner, what's happening? Well, I'll tell you, listen, this has come up in the last couple of days on social media and in the press and stuff, and apparently the small rumours going around is that Liverpool have opened some sort of negotiation with Timo Werner and RB Leipzig. And, he signed a new deal in the summer, and when I seen him doing that, I thought, just protecting his value, he'll still want out. I'm not sure if anything happens. They seem to be doing very, very well in the Bundesliga this year. He may stay, and he may have a chance. I was talking to Grizz about this the other day, and this is no inside information from Grizz. I was just asking, what do you think? And he was saying, his opinion is it all depends on Shaqiri for him. I think he thinks Shaqiri might go in January simply because, one, he's not getting the game time when he is fit, and he's unfit for a lot of the time, and I think patience might be lost from him a little bit, and it might be a bit of a trust issue over him with regards to the way we play and can he fit in. Chris, for you, Timo Werner, if he was available in January, would you go for him? Because I absolutely would.
Yeah, I'd go for him because then it's another quality attacker to supplement the front three, and also to put a bit of pressure on the front three for if people have dips in form, which everyone does. From what I've read, from what limited bits I've read about him, he can play pretty much anywhere along the front three. He seems to prefer playing wide and coming in rather than playing the Firmino job. So it doesn't really replace Firmino, but we have seen in games Mane and Salah can, for the odd game, do a job through the middle. So, but I think more than anything else, I think he likes to play on the left, which is ideal for us because we haven't really got anyone who can play on the left other than Mane, and he's probably the one player who never gets a rest because we've got other people who can play on the right or the middle. So, from that point of view, it makes sense. I'm a bit dubious by the source, though. I mean, Duncan Castles is not renowned for being a particularly favourable reporter for Liverpool.
Yeah, but he's also, in fairness to him, like although he's up Mourinho's arse most of the time, when he says stuff, he means it. I don't think he does it to wind stuff up, you know what I mean? Dunno reckons that Shaqiri is gone in January. He's all for that. Christina says
he's got to pass a medical. He'd have to pass a medical first, and he's not fit.
Correct. Liverpool will let. Christina says LFC will let Shaq go if he wants because Elliott is ahead of schedule. That's a fair point. I think Elliott I think is going to get to the stage where he's just going to not give anyone any option but to include him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only thing I would say last night. You saw two sides of Elliott. Where look, he's clearly ridiculously talented at 16, and you can tell he's going to be a top player. But you could see in that game there was definitely elsewhere you could tell. Yes, he is 16, where he was quite naive on the ball in the wrong areas, both when to take a cross or when not to cross, but also the giveaway for the third goal. There's that element of naivety, and you've got to be careful when you're going to throw him in like a league game. I think at the moment, drip feed him into cup games and let him do under 23s. I think that's probably what we should be doing. I think the only time we should see him in a league game is if you're 2-3-0 up with 20 minutes to go, then him or a Brewster should get a run out then just to get a bit of experience into him. But I think he probably will get to a point where he'll be too good that we have to play him. But I'm not convinced it's going to be this season when he's 16. Personally.
Yeah. Stephen says if we buy in January, God help the rest of the league. Christina says Werner will not come in January. He won't play this season. We may buy but not transfer. What's the point for him not to play? I think he'd get quite a few games for Liverpool if he turned up. And remember, I think this Champions League thing, are he in the Champions League this season or European football? He'd be allowed to play and anyway, so that's gone out the window where you're cup tied now. Northred says put him on the bench and tell him he's there for the remainder of the season when we need him and he can fight for a place in 2020. Elliott has that Rooney arrogance about him, says Dunno. He does, yeah. There's something about him that he just knows how good he is, and I don't mind that in a player once they can back it up. I really don't. Chris, I'm not going to speak to you on this show before the week is out and before we play Aston Villa. So I'm going to ask you what your prediction is for the game on Sunday, isn't it?
Saturday, isn't
it? Saturday, sorry. Saturday. I have Sunday. I just have Sunday on the brain all the time. Go on.
I think it will be 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. Do you want to give me some scores?
Let's go with... I think Fabinho is due a goal. Mm-hmm. And then I think the second goal will be quite late in the game. So I think it probably like a Chamberlain off the bench.
Okay, cool. Right, before we go, it's the 31st of October, so tomorrow obviously is the 1st of November. That's when our competition starts. Anyone that's a subscriber to the LFC Day Trippers on YouTube will be in for a competition, regardless, just because you're a subscriber in the month of November. Anyone that's a new subscriber from midnight tonight until the 30th of November will also be in a separate draw. Same prize. It's the same prize, just twice. So get subscribing. And as I said, if you are already a subscriber and you happen to get somebody to subscribe, let me know live on the show. Get that person to let me know live on the show, and you and the person that's recommended you will be in for 2 chances to win. I'll explain a little bit more over the weekend as we go. But listen, it's basically just subscribe to the channel, get people to subscribe to the channel, and let me know that you've actually managed to do that. And that the more you do that, the more chances you have. Maverick has 3-1 Liverpool. Stephen Mack says 4-1 Gav. You know, it makes sense. Please, Stephen, don't do this to me again. We can't do this again, please. But look, it's been a great show. Chris, thanks a million for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game. Everybody else, I will speak to you tomorrow night. I have a new guest, making their debut on tomorrow night. I will detail that tomorrow afternoon when I put out the tweet with regards to the show. Thanks for joining us. Your comments have been amazing, whether that's been on YouTube or on Periscope. If you download this later on, thanks for downloading. But don't forget, you can also subscribe on YouTube and get us live by hitting that bell icon. That's the FB4 Daily for Thursday night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Over and out.